the Instagram stories for Friday, February 21st. I'm your host, Daniel Hill, and this is the weekend edition of the Instagram stories. You might have noticed that I did not do an episode yesterday. I was actually attending On Air Fest, which is a conference for podcasters and other creatives held in Brooklyn. I went because Taylor Lorenz was speaking. Taylor Lorenz has been on this show before. I've interviewed her in the past. I wanted to go and support her in this interview that she was doing. And also, I volunteered to work the front desk, checking in people for the conference in exchange for a ticket to go to the show. I had a very busy day. Getting to Brooklyn from New Jersey is not as easy as you might think. All of that to explain why there was no podcast episode yesterday. But today is going to be action-packed. Don't worry. The Instagram app has some updates, including around the DM inbox. The head of Instagram is going to stop by to give some strategy for how to use trial reels. And I'm going to share a clip of the latest podcast interview that I just posted with Kirsti Lang from the Buffer team. You might remember Kirsti from a past episode because I found a clip of her talking about data from the Buffer team showing that Instagram Reels were best for reach, but not engagement. She wrote a long blog post about it. I had initially gotten permission from the Buffer team to use that clip, but Kirsti was nice enough to let me interview her. I'm going to play you some of it, and we get deep into analytics. So if you like information and data to inform your strategy, you're going to like this episode. All that and more, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Welcome back. Let's get into the biggest news of the day, which has to do with the Instagram DM inbox. If you receive a DM from a person who speaks a different language than you do, you can now tap and hold on the message, and you will see a button pop up that says translate. When you press that, the translated message will then appear below the original message in your conversation. This is really nice, especially if you chat with family or friends from different countries. Additionally, Instagram has also added music to the DMs. If you are having a conversation with someone one-on-one or you're in a group chat, if you tap on the sticker icon down at the bottom of the DM box and you tap the music option, you can now search for any song in the Instagram audio library. If you tap on it, it will send a 30-second preview of the song featuring a spinning vinyl of the album to whoever you are conversating with. The next update that Instagram includes in this blog post about the DM inbox is the ability to schedule messages to send to your friends at the time that you choose. So you can schedule a message in advance. Say you want to wish someone a happy anniversary on the day of their anniversary. You could set that up prior, a couple of days, up to 29 days earlier. Now you might be thinking, didn't you talk about this before, Daniel? And I looked back at my notes, and in fact I did. I first discussed this on December 19th when it first became available, but it seems like Instagram didn't publicize it enough, so they've included it in this blog post. Additionally, Instagram has added the ability to pin up to 3 chat threads in your DM inbox to make it easier to find the most important conversations that you reference frequently. To pin a message, tap and hold on the message and choose pin. If you want to unpin the message, just do the same thing, except select unpin instead. And the last update for the Instagram DM box is that you can now invite new friends to your group chat with a QR code. Each group chat will have a personalized QR code, which you can share with someone else. I personally cannot see the need to ever do this, but it's nice to know that it's an option. Now let's talk about trial reels for a minute. If you're not familiar, trial reels are a new feature of Instagram that allow you to show your content to people who don't follow you. This is traditionally the exact opposite of how Instagram has worked. Historically, Instagram worked by showing your content first to your friends, the people who are most likely to want to see your content because they already follow you and they really like many pieces of content that you make. If those people like it, I'll call those people your super fans. If those super fans liked it, then Instagram will show it to more people who follow you, and so on. Once a significant number of people who have chosen to follow you have seen that piece of content and liked it, Instagram would begin showing it to more people, this time to people who did not follow you. Interestingly, the Reels trial flips this completely on its head. It is showing your content to people who don't follow you first. Then, once the people who don't follow you have seen it, engaged with it, you've gotten some data from that, you have the opportunity to now share that content with your followers if you so choose. You might decide to take that piece of content down and retool it before you post it again. That's completely your choice. Interestingly, the head of Instagram talks about some of the challenges with Reels trials and what some of the frustrations that you might experience and what you can do about them. Here's the clip.
How to get a sense for how your trial reel is doing. Now, a reminder, trial reels allow you to post a reel just to non-followers and then decide based on how they're doing whether or not you want to upgrade them to your followers and to your profile. Now, the key thing is because it's not going to your followers, you can't compare it to a normal reel. It's going to get less reach almost always at the beginning. And so what you need to do is compare trial reels to other trials and look at sends, look at likes, look at watch time. Don't look at it in the first 10 minutes, wait a couple hours and compare it to how other trials were doing around a similar amount of time. And that'll give you a sense, that'll get you calibrated on how good that trial is. And you can decide if you want to upgrade it to your followers and to your profile. Hopefully this helps. More advice coming soon. Peace.
It's a really good point he's making. Ensure that when you are doing a Reels trial and you get some data from that, don't compare it to a normal post that you would make on Instagram that your followers would see. Instead, compare it to other Reels trials, see how those performed, and then compare those. It's a different way of thinking about it, but I 100% agree with his point. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, Kirsti Lang from the Buffer team is going to share some analytics about Instagram that you need to know. Stick around. Welcome back. Recently, I sat down with Kirsti Lang, who is a senior content writer at Buffer. She's also a podcaster, she's incredibly knowledgeable, and we did a deep dive all about Instagram analytics and what kinds of posts are best and when to post them. Here's the first half of the interview with Kirsti. Today on the show, we're here with Kirsti Lang. Kirsti, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Daniel.
Kirsti, for people who might not be familiar with you, can you tell us who you are and what it is that you do?
Oh, what don't I do? So I am a content marketer by day and then a creator, podcaster by night. I say that, but mostly I do work in the day. I don't actually work at night. I work as a writer for a company called Buffer, and we make social media management software, which is awesome. It's a fantastic company to work for. My area of expertise in both kind of my content and my work is social media, productivity, career growth. Yeah, so those are the kinds of things that I talk about on the internet.
I love that. I have talked to other people from Buffer on the show. I recently had on Miranda Marachko from the product team at Buffer. We talked about the Threads integration. And if you work in social media and you're not familiar with Buffer, it's a fantastic tool. It lets you post to multiple social media platforms at once. If you are just starting out, the free version allows you to post to 3 social media platforms. You can customize the text or the caption, I should say, for each one. If you're not familiar, highly recommended. I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the data that you and the team at Buffer have been sharing recently, especially when it comes to what you've found by analyzing all the Instagram data available to you and the rest of the team at Buffer. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things that I am working on right now. We have, obviously, as you mentioned, we have a wealth of data because Buffer has analytics features as well. It varies platform to platform, but we have a lot of data that we're able to tap into to help users and other folks on social make data-driven decisions about their content, right? Because platforms are getting better about doing this. So for example, like Adam Mosseri has done like a bunch of really helpful videos where he's explained the algorithm. And I think they're really trying to be more transparent about that at Instagram in particular. But more sometimes it's quite difficult to understand this algorithm and that algorithm, and this one ranks this cents per reach, and then we're talking about likes, and then we're talking about engagement, and it's very confusing even for someone who lives social. So I love this project because it really helps us demystify some of that, the black box of the social media algorithm, and help folks make informed decisions about that. We also have a data scientist on our team, which I know we're incredibly lucky to have. He's just one person, and the amount of work that Julian does, shout out to Julian, is insane. But yeah, so I'm able to be like, hey, Julian, can you tell me what is the impact of posting consistently on social media? Can we figure that out? And he's okay, but what actually do you want to know? I'm like, I don't know, just tell me some numbers, what you got. And he's great. So he will come up with like charts and spreadsheets, and yeah, it's fantastic. And we're really focusing on these data-driven articles at the moment. We've got data on all of the platforms that Buffer supports. So yeah, it's been a fun project.
Okay, that's fascinating because a lot of times when you are trying to post consistently, you're trying to maybe work on a specific niche or a specific angle or focus, and it seems like it's not really resonating, you're trying to figure out why is it not, right? And so to have that data across multiple accounts, all the buffer clients who are making posts regularly and being able to analyze that data and say, okay, what does that mean for me? I want to get into that when we talk about what is the best time to post. Historically, and I'm using this as a brief example because that's something that you can see within the Instagram app. You can tell, okay, when are my followers online? But that doesn't necessarily correspond to what is the best time to post. And I think historically people have said, and even Adam Mosseri, post a little bit before your followers are going to be online. Okay, if my followers are online at 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., let's just say, then my post should be at 8 a.m. So then when they open up the app at 9 a.m., they can see it. I think from what I'm reading in the buffer data that you posted, that's not exactly the way to do it. A little bit different. So can we save that for later in the conversation? But that is absolutely something I want to dig into. If we can,
of course we can.
Let's start with the first report that I saw, which is where you and obviously Julian, the data scientist, came out with this post that Instagram Reels are best for reach, but not necessarily engagement. And can you talk about what that title means and a little bit about the data that you uncovered?
Yeah, so as part of our kind of we have a best time to post series that we are updating annually. And as a part of that, we look at the best performing content on the platform. And we have been including that all in the same article or report. But this year we just decided to dig a little bit deeper because I think the general, I want to say zeitgeist, that's not the right word, the general advice that people will give you about Instagram is just Reels. And that's great and it works, but it's also quite intimidating. So we wanted to dig into the different metrics to see, okay, Instagram becoming TikTok, and maybe that is going to be the case in the next couple of years or a couple of months, even given the rate at which they're making changes now. But yeah, so we looked at both reach of Instagram posts and engagement of Instagram posts. And what we found was really interesting.
Kirsti is going to share that data, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Welcome back. Here's the next clip of my interview with Kirsti Lang.
Found was really interesting was that obviously the reach of Reels was significantly higher than other different content types. And so the 3 different content types we looked at and classified was single photo posts, Reels, and then carousels. And when we say carousels, obviously we mean multiple photo posts. So that's not, I know LinkedIn people listening to this might think that's like a PDF carousel or something. It could be that, or it could be photos. So any just multi content post, it could include videos as well, of course. Yeah, so we compared all of those different content types, and I think I'm gonna look at the numbers right now because I can't remember them off the top of my head. I've been working on a different data article today, and all the numbers tend to blur after a while. But yeah, so sorry, Daniel, I'm getting there. So Reels see 36% more reach than other post types, which is in line with what we expect. Obviously, they came out significantly higher than single photo posts, and less significantly higher than carousel posts. The carousel posts do see more reach than single photo posts. But then, and this surprised me a lot because I think historically we have tied engagement to content performance, right? We know, if you know anything about the Instagram algorithm, and previously the advice that you would give is engagement is the most important signal to the algorithm. So that is what is going to determine your reach. And that's not necessarily true in this because there is such a big discrepancy between reach and engagement of Instagram post types. So actually, Instagram carousels.
Wait, before you go any further, I agree, and I'm locked in on everything you're saying. If somebody is not so familiar with these terms, can you define how you are explaining reach versus engagement? I have in my head that reach would be the number of people who would see your content, and engagement would be how many people that actually take action on it, meaning they like it, they make a comment, they share it with somebody else, or they save it. I just want to make sure that I'm, number one, defining that in the same way that you are, and second, that the audience is aligned with that as well.
Yes, absolutely. I asked Julian this, and I was just want to dot my I's and cross my T's. So you've summed it up perfectly. We define Instagram reach in the same way that Instagram does. So that is the total number of times the account's media objects, I'm not making this up, total amount of times the account's media objects, so that is your posts, have been uniquely viewed. Right. And then engagement is exactly what you said, the number of likes, saves, comments, and shares on the post, minus the number of unlikes, unsaves, and deleted comments. So that is the kind of thing when you will go and report a post or say, I don't like this content, yeah, so that obviously
Or
impacts
maybe if
engagement
you're
as well.
snooping and you go way back in someone else's content really far and then you accidentally like it and then, oh no, and then you unlike it. That could be part, but I'm digressing. Please continue. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that fairly recently and it's very embarrassing. And I had to like Google, is that going to show up in notifications?
Yes.
Probably, but it's fine. We move. Yes. And then we were talking about carousels and how they see more engagement. Now, so they only see 12% more engagement than other post types. So they get 12% more engagement than Reels, and then 114% more engagement than single image posts.
Can we just pause on that data? Because you said so much there. So for getting in front of the maximum number of eyeballs, in that case, you would want to use a reel. If you want as many people as possible to engage with your post, it would be better to use a carousel. And you just said the percentage to back that up. Can you say that one more time, please, if I understood you correctly?
So carousels on Instagram get 12% more engagement than Reels.
Right.
According to our data. Yep. And then 114% more engagement than single photo posts. Carousels are phenomenal. They are so great for engagement. And I think if you think about how you engage on Instagram, I find commenting on a video or engaging with a video kind of weird. I don't like to do it. It's just like it's not, especially for like creators, people that I don't know, I'm not really going to go in and engage in that way. And that's why I think recently Adam Mosseri was on the Colin and Samir podcast, and he spoke about cents per reach and how important that is. So that's what they look to for Reels as like the engagement metric, because people don't engage on Reels in the way that they do on maybe carousel posts. And I think it also, I'm getting super into the weeds here and just extrapolating on the data, but I think it also comes down to how people use carousels as well. So my feed is mostly filled with people who will do like really authentic photo dumps, and it'll be less polished images in a carousel, right? Because you can still keep the feed aesthetic by having your initial post or your initial photo look quite good. Yeah, so I think engagement just feels so much more natural and much more likely on carousel posts. So that's something that I've been thinking about in my own Instagram content. And what I love about this is it shows, and I think a lot of people who love Instagram are still quite intimidated by video. And it's feeling very much, if I'm not making Reels, then should I even be on Instagram at all? And this data shows that yes, you can still get a lot of value from you can still get a lot of value from photo posts if you turn them into a carousel. Yeah, I think that was really comforting for me as someone who just doesn't have the capacity to be making 3 Reels a week.
I'm so glad you talked about that, especially for photographers, because if you're a photographer, you might be very frustrated with the Instagram experience. You work so hard to take that photo, set it up, make it look great. And then you're going to say the buffer statistics said that it's 114% less likely to get engagement. Why would I bother? But putting them together in a carousel, the 10 best images you took in January 2025, one of those 10 or 20, however many pictures, someone's going to one of those the best. And that's the likelihood that they're going to share it, tap on it, comment, whatever. So I think this is a really important finding. I'm going to stop the interview there, but next time on the show, I'm going to play the rest of the interview that I did with Kirsti Lang. Of course, if you want to listen to it before then, you can find the entire interview on the Instagram Stories podcast feed, or you can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts, you can find it. I'll link to it in the show notes if you want. If you want to watch the video, if you want to listen to the audio, I'm all about choice here. As always, thank you for listening, and be sure to come back next time for more social media news, strategy, and other things that you need to know.
Let me tell you a couple things that you should know about me. A product manager, but do not have a bachelor's degree. But actually, that's factually a fraction of me. And other fractions posting content irregular and irrationally. Still probably won't get a job at the Gram. They forgot, they don't know, or don't care who I am. That's why you never see me at the parties and events. My lack of followers must make me irrelevant. Don't have a course, a book to sell to make a bag of grand. Not a social media marketer, don't represent any brands. Plain to see, don't have an agency, but I got a lot of spam. Just putting in my work, without the glitz and glam. Won't catch me eating fish, unless it's shrimp or clam. No 6-pack, no risk that, there's a gym card in my hand. Don't have a full-time job, but I got a lot of plans. Stay plotting, dropping knowledge on TikTok and Instagram.